Today I'm sharing one of the most simplest ways to create a pop-up card. It's a Mother's Day card and it's made with the Mondo Amaryllis from Ellen Hutson. Hi, it's Therese from Lostinpaper and I've got lots to share with you today. I thought I'd start by doing some Copic colouring because I'm going to need 2 flowers for this design, and I'm only going to share some of the colouring with you, and I have sped it up quite a bit because this isn't the main focus of the card, but I know that people often want to see colouring, so if you don't, you can skip ahead and watch the actual process of creating the pop-up card. So I have got the lids off to the side so you can see which colours I'm using, and all the products that I've used today will be linked at the blog and you can go through the description below to get there. I have taken the Mondo Amaryllis and made it into a stargazer lily. So instead of being sort of a Christmas style flower, this has now become a Mother's Day flower, and I love it when you can stretch your stamps and get more out of them. And this is such a beautiful, all the Mondo flowers are beautiful, but this in particular is a really pretty one and fun to colour as well. So I've chosen the stargazer lily colours, and to create the highlight on each of the petals, I decided to come in with the W00, and that just helped blend out the edges of the pink Copic markers and add that shine to the petals. So I did decide to keep the whole image as one. When you are choosing your images for a pop-up card, you need to make sure it's going to be able to fit within the card and not sort of hang over the edge when it closes over. And originally I was thinking about cutting a few of the flowers out from this image, and when I popped up the card there was going to be a few flowers popping up, but I couldn't bring myself to cut up the image once I'd started colouring, so I kept it as one, and it worked really well. And what I thought I'd share with you instead was how to use this one image and make one of the most simplest of pop-up mechanisms, which you can use pretty much for any design that you're going to be able to fit in the centre of a card. And something else to be aware of is that these are a little bit thicker than your average card and may cost a little bit more to post, so they would be actually a good card to give with a present as a hand gift, or use a padded rigid mailer, something to post it in. This is where the magic happens. By adding a few simple dots, an amaryllis flower becomes a stargazer lily. I did cut out my flowers with the coordinating dies, and I decided to put one on the front of my card and thought it'd be fun to have like an oval window. These are the essential ovals, and I cut like a wide border and offset it so that it had like a thinner edge and a thicker edge on the other one, because I wanted to put a sentiment on there. On the front of my card I'm going to put a piece of grey, it's the oyster grey cardstock, and I splattered some white paint across the front of that. I needed to do that now so that it will dry so I can use it on my card very soon. I've got 2 pieces of cardstock cut to card size, one in the oyster grey and one in white. The oyster grey piece here is the one that's going to go in the centre of my pop-up, and I thought it would be a really unique idea to die cut the word mum with the classic alpha dies, and this is going to give me a negative space sentiment. Of course there's only one M in the alphabet, so I did have to do that twice. I want to stamp the word hooray, and that's from the Totally Random Sayings, Volume 3, and I did that with some obsidian black ink. I wanted it to show through the negative die cut space. You could easily just stamp the word mum or stick the word mum on instead of doing the negative space to make it a little bit easier. But I decided to stamp it twice, once on the grey and then once on the white, so that when I join the 2 pieces together, the word hooray will kind of be showing through that negative space. And next it's time to work out where my pop-up mechanism is going to be. So I've got the piece of grey cardstock, and I'm holding my image in place and just putting a couple of tick marks on the grey cardstock with a pencil, which I can erase in a minute. The thing that I want to sort of hide it behind is that collection, that image of leaves. You could actually put like a flower pot at the bottom over top if you have something like that, or some coloured cardstock if you had an image that wasn't as wide on the base. You don't want it to be too flimsy, otherwise it is going to flop over. So I marked the back where I want to cut to, folded the piece of grey cardstock in half, and now I'm cutting down from the folded edge with my paper trimmer to the line that I marked. So this is actually the reverse side of my card at the moment. Now I've got my scoreboard and I'm scoring the areas, the two lines on either side of the cuts that I've made, and then I can just simply push that forward and crease the line with my Teflon bone folder. It's as simple as that. That's the pop-up mechanism done. I want this to really hold well, so I've got some score tape here, and I made sure I didn't put it too far over that it's going to be covered by the leaves when I adhere my image downs later on. Now, to join both pieces of the cardstock together, I'm putting ATG adhesive on the back of the grey cardstock, making sure that I don't put any near the pop-up mechanism, and then very carefully line them up. Because I've done that hooray thing, I made things harder for myself. But, you know, I think it was worth it in the end. And it's just a little element that you can add to a card. Just people can look at it and go like, oh, how did you do that? We'll never tell them. And that's the pop-up mechanism. How easy is that? You could do this with so many different things. So I thought it was time now to adhere the splattered panel to the front of my card. It dried pretty quickly actually, and I used my ATG to do that. And I want to add a sentiment to the actual oval die cut that I've got, and I'm using the set called Mondo Succulent Pot. Was that what it's called? It's a new one. It's really sweet. And I wanted to actually separate the two words for you, so I just used some simple masking with a post-it note here to do that. And then I've got one of my I was going to call it an amaryllis. Well, it is an amaryllis, but it's one in disguise, isn't it? My stargazer lily to the front of the card, but poke it sort of through the oval die cut. So I joined these together just with a bit of tape so I could get my alignment right, and then popped it all up on some foam. I did put lots of foam on here because I probably am going to be posting this. I live a long way away from my mother and my mother-in-law, so it will be posted, and I don't want it to get squished, so I probably will put it in one of those rigid mailers to post it. And then I just simply removed the adhesive from the inside that I'd placed there before, lined up the flower, made sure that it wasn't going to be showing over the edge of the card when I folded it, and then cut off the edges. How simple is that? I hope you have fun with this idea. If you like this video, please click on the thumbs up button to let me know that you did. If you haven't already, it'd be awesome if you could subscribe to my channel. I appreciate every single visit you make here. Until next time, happy paper crafting. Bye.